guys kissing again. You don't want to hear that.
I don't mind so much.
Pride greetings, film connoisseurs. I hope June is shaping up to be a joyful and colorful month for you. Welcome to the No Flimflam Film Fan channel. I've got a quiz for you. When was the first ever motion picture capture of a same-sex kiss? I thought I knew the answer, but when I looked into it, I was way off. Do you think it was before or after same-sex marriage was legalized in the country where it was filmed? Any ideas? Let's dig in.
I'm gay!
I'm old enough to remember when Ellen DeGeneres was a comedian, and one with a TV show. No, not the talk show, a sitcom. And at the time, nobody knew she was a lesbian.
I mean, why can't I just say the truth? I mean, be who I am. I'm 35 years old. I'm so afraid to tell people.
But then, one day,
I'm gay.
came out of the closet. And when she did, she effectively got shoved off of television. That was the late 90s, and just going off the vibes of culture in North America, you would guess that the first same-sex kiss on motion picture must have happened sometime after that. Right? Wrong. To the surprise of no one who has ever worked in theater, for as long as we've had the stage, we've had performers, writers, and all manner of entertainment professionals who happen to be gay. How open they can be about it depends on time and culture, and varies, but not in a linear fashion. For example, when do you think the first film to feature a sympathetic portrayal of a gay couple was released? Perhaps Philadelphia in 1993? Or maybe all the way back to 1982 with Rocky III? Nope. How about right after World War I in Germany? Yes, that Germany. But not yet that Germany. Different from the others, released in 1919 with the intention of helping bring Germany's vibrant but largely underground LGBTQ culture out into the open, at a time when homosexuality was against the law. The film sparked a lot of debate, and conservative Christian pushback against it, unfortunately, helped lead to the reenactment of film censorship laws in Germany that had previously been relaxed. And while these censorship laws succeeded in preventing further positive portrayals of gay couples on film, they didn't prevent the positive portrayal of lesbian couples. Why? Well, sexism is weird like that. Patriarchal norms at the time dictated that only men pursued sex. Women just allowed it to happen when they felt like it. So, when laws were written to censor devious sexual behavior, it was just assumed that that would not include women. It was only a problem for men. This cultural oddity will be relevant not just for the first full-length film portrayal of a positive woman-on-woman affection, but also when we get into the discussion of the first same-sex kiss. Despite its openly lesbian themes being contrary to the spirit of censorship laws, if not the exact wording, Mädchen in Uniform, released in Germany in 1931 and saw great international success. International, but not domestic. Remember how I said tolerance of gay cinema is non-linear? While the 1920s were a golden age of cinematic creativity in Germany, the rise of right-wing nationalism in the 1930s forced many creatives to flee the country. And so, a couple of years after release, Mädchen in Uniform faced not only an ongoing ban, but also threat of outright destruction from Germany's new administration. And before any of you in the United States start bragging about your Constitution and freedoms, know that the only reason Mädchen in Uniform wasn't banned in the US is because the U.S. president's wife intervened directly on its behalf. Yes, we have civil rights icon and confirmed lady kisser herself, Eleanor Roosevelt, to thank for this film's availability in the United States. In case you were wondering, yes, women do kiss in Madgen in uniform, but this is not the first time we'll see a same-sex kiss in cinema. No. To get there, we're going to have to actually leave Germany. One of the greatest misconceptions of European-American interactions is that Europeans will invariably be more progressive. While currently this is often the case in a lot of areas, historically it's not always the case. And it's not always the case for gay themes in cinema. Yes, starting from the mid-1930s, Hollywood studios did make it a lot easier for other countries to be more comparatively open-minded on gay issues. That's because in the mid-1930s, Hollywood studios enacted what's called the Hays Code. This was a form of self-censorship along conservative Christian ideals to try to prevent backlash to their films. Executives feared if there was too much backlash, Congress might get involved and enact a form of legal censorship like what happened in Germany. The Hays Code explicitly forbid positive portrayals of gay characters and certainly gay relationships. If there were to be gay-coded characters in films from this point onward, they had to be pitiful jokes or horrific villains. But prior to the Hays Code, you can find many examples of subversion of gender norms, cross-dressing, or even implicit gay relations, like in Charlie Chaplin's 1931 classic comedy, City Lights. In City Lights, his iconic tramp character flirts openly and even shares a bed with other men. But implicit and comedic are key words here. It's hard to find a Hollywood example of a film like Different from the Others where the creators clearly intended to promote gay rights. Oh, we can find gay themes if we're open to finding them, but they are often played for laughs or shrouded just enough to allow reasonable doubt if questioned by a politician pushing censorship in the name of family values. We also have to consider differing norms on physical affection between friends. Some people just kiss a lot more than others, and it's not always romantic. Which brings us to the scene that I long thought to be the first cinematic same-sex kiss. Are they finally admitting their passion for each other, or is this merely the affections of two men bonded as only soldiers in war can? That is a subject of debate that I will leave it to you to investigate yourself. It is clearly passionate, and you should know that Wings is not some obscure art house film. It was one of the most expensive films produced in its time, and not only well received, but actually the winner of the Best Picture Award at the very first ever Academy Awards. The two men who share a kiss in Wings spend the film vying for the affections of a woman. While audiences may find the men have better chemistry with each other, the film does not make it necessarily obvious that they have any erotic intentions. So if not Wings in 1927, when do we finally get a Hollywood film where same-sex kissing is clearly meant to be romantic? With the Hays Code restrictions coming a few years later, it must have taken a long time, right? No, it didn't, because it already happened. In Cecil B. DeMille's 1922 film Manslaughter, two women can be seen kissing erotically. We know that it's not a mere friendly kiss because the kiss occurs during an orgy. Kind of activity that I cannot find in this guide to friendship that my parents gave me. And I've also watched like every episode of Bluey. No, never comes up. And it turns out Wings isn't even the first kiss between two men on film. In the 1916 film Intolerance, there's a similar brothers-in-arms affectionate kiss. And guess what? If you want to see the first example of a same-sex kiss on motion picture, you're going to have to go back all the way to the invention of motion picture itself. The first motion picture resulted from photographer Edward Maybridge's studies of the motion of a horse in the late 1800s. By setting up multiple cameras and tripwires, he was able to capture multiple still photographs in tight sequence of a horse galloping. Playing these photographs, or accurately drawn versions of them in sequence, on rudimentary projection devices, created an illusion of actual movement. He continued to tweak and advance photographic and projection technology, and furthered his studies of motion to other animals and people performing a wide variety of routine tasks, like playing tennis or serving tea. Wanting to achieve the most detail possible, he preferred the subjects to be nude or nearly nude so as to best capture how the body behaves in motion. These images would be incredibly useful references to physicians and artists. When it came time to capture a kiss, he of course wanted accuracy of body movement, but also wanted to avoid controversy. Remember what I said before about how under patriarchal norms, men assumed that only men could pursue erotic interests. Because of this, any inclusion of a man in his first attempted motion picture of a kiss could result in people declaring it's much too sexual to have any artistic or scientific value. But as a man of his era, Maybridge knew that women had no interest in sex. So if he wanted to avoid controversy, he would have to make his motion picture of a kiss with two completely naked women sharing affections. And that's exactly what he did in the mid-1880s. And in fact, the kiss was not controversial. It was so uncontroversial that it went largely unnoticed for decades and decades, just buried among the hundreds and hundreds of examples of motion picture studies that Maybridge performed. It only has resurfaced on rare occasions when an artist or researcher decides to dig deep into the far history of cinema. And yet, when I tried to watch this on YouTube on a computer where I happened to be logged out, YouTube made me log in and confirm my age in order to view this Victorian-era motion picture capture of two people sharing a kiss. This 140-year-old first ever example of a motion picture of a kiss is deemed by YouTube to be too risque for children. Times change, but not the way you always think. What is controversial, more than the needlessly prudish attitudes at YouTube, is the fact that the two women in this kiss are not named. They weren't credited. We don't know who they were. But over on Letterboxd, you can see how LGBTQ film buffs are reclaiming the kiss as their own and breathing a new life into it in our modern era. And I think that's just swell. And hey, if you think this video was swell, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, why not check out this playlist of other quizzes that I've made, or perhaps this fun video here.